I'm Kimberlie Acosta, and I'm here with Tina Osceola, who is working with Stephen Bowers and Chairman Mitchell Cypress in regards to getting a added statue of Native Americans to Washington, D.C. statue that's currently there. And how is it for you to be involved with this as a woman? Are you a veteran, or?
Well, you know, I'm not a veteran, Kim, but it's a great honor. My father was in the U.S. Army and is a proud Seminole veteran. And, you know, I really feel that I'm able to do my part for not just the veterans of the United States, but also the veterans who fought and died for our people.
And how do you feel about the current state of affairs that's going on? I mean, I was reading that there's this whole issue going on with where they were comparing the Al-Qaeda, there was a trial for a guy in Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
And they were comparing Al-Qaeda to the Seminoles.
Well, you know, it's very disheartening and disappointing that in 2011, when we have the presidential administration that we have and all of the promise and basically the efforts that are out there on behalf of Indian country to turn the corner, to make a difference, and for there to be a better tomorrow, for stereotypes to be as prevalent as they are and to be supported is very disheartening. And for me, I'd like to ask myself, how am I supposed to convince my 12-year-old son or my 17-year-old daughter or anyone else for that matter why they should serve in the armed forces when we're still being compared and being treated as enemies of the state? That's crazy. And you know, that totally disregards the role of Native veterans that are fighting abroad today, that fought and died for this same cause. You know, we weren't able to concentrate on the efforts of May 1st, 2011, because it was overshadowed by finding out that they you know, the code name Geronimo was used for the #1 enemy of this country. And we had, you know, a Hopi woman die on behalf of that effort.
Lori Piestewa.
Yes.
She was the first Native woman to die in combat over in Iraq, I believe, right?
Yes, and that's completely, it's a disregard to her memory, to her purpose, and more importantly, what about the future? You know, what does this say for the future of Indian country and where we're at? The political affairs have turned back 100 years. Even more than that. You know, when you look at 2011 and where we were at the end of the Second Seminole War, how is it any different today? That's what we want to hear from the President of the United States. How is it different today? How is it going to be different tomorrow? You know, what is his legacy? What is he leaving?
And you guys sent letters to the President, I believe, correct, on behalf of the Seminole tribe?
Yes, the chairman sent 2 letters, one in March when he reacted to the Seminole reference in the comparison to Al-Qaeda. So the chairman stepped up to the plate and said, this is not tolerable. We're not going to stand here and be compared to terrorists. And nothing was done. Is there some history
you can explain to why that they were doing that? It was a war in 1817, was it?
No, it was the Second Seminole War.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Jackson, you know, who of course was one of known and his claim to fame was being an Indian fighter, just like Custer. And so Andrew Jackson is fighting the Seminoles, and those Seminoles at the time who threw in with those Seminoles at the time were considered terrorists. They went back to the military tribunal, was trying to figure out a way to prosecute Al-Bulaq, a prisoner in Guantanamo Bay. And they relied on the only precedent they said they could find was this military case from the 1800s, where the Seminoles were considered and were considered terrorists. Yes, and so that's the precedent that they were relying upon. And so by default, and by direct reference, Seminoles were then compared to Al-Qaeda terrorists, and it completely missed the point. You know, to know that a person with a legal background that could get that far along in their legal career with the Department of Defense, that's quite disheartening. And when you see that the Seminoles, as well as Geronimo, they weren't enemies of the state. They were protecting their people from foreign invasion. This wasn't about terrorism. They weren't out, you know, planting bombs in baby carriages, you know, strapping strapping explosives to themselves, taking jetliners and box cutters and crashing planes into the World Trade Center, killing 3,000 innocent people. That's not what was going on during the Seminole Wars. We were on the receiving end of that. So when the military tribunal wants to turn that around and call what we're saying is, are you calling yourselves the United States Army? That is why this is so important to correct the record, because you can't discount the role of veterans in the armed forces for the United States or those who are fighting on behalf of their people.
And the Native Americans have been fighting longer to preserve this country than anyone else, so they should be, the whole idea of having that statue there.
They should be honored, but it also needs to be corrected so that the racial stereotyping is broken down. Because right now, the stereotyping is prevalent. And stereotyping is just a symptom. It's symptomatic of institutionalized racism.
Mm-hmm. And again, you guys have a website in regards to the statue that you guys are trying to get on there. And it was thenavmi.com.
Yes.
And people can go there and put in their name for support. Is there anything else that people can do, besides rewrite history books?
Mm-hmm. Well, other than rewriting history books, it's important to talk to your elders
Mm-hmm.
and to talk to the veterans in your community, to hear their stories, and to advocate on behalf of our people. I'm not a veteran, but I'm right there to hold the United States flag and my tribal flag, and one in each hand in support of what their efforts and fact that they put their lives on the line for us.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time and talking with me today regarding this important issue.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Kimberlie Acosta with IndianCountryTV.com. Thank you.